Hello everybody and welcome back. PSVR2 has had a wonderful year in 2024. I have really enjoyed making content for you guys pretty much every day, and there have been so many good games, and next year we have a whole host to look forward to. Today's video is all about that. I'll be going through some of the games that I'm truly excited for in 2025. I'll definitely miss out a couple here and there that I'm just forgetful about. Please let me know if I missed any in the comments below that you're really excited for. Hopefully I haven't. I probably have. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and becoming part of the 25% of people who are actually subbed to the channel that do watch. And thank you to our patrons and YouTube members whose generous support keeps this channel going day after day and week after week. Before we jump in though, let's talk 2025 a little bit in terms of the channel. We had a nice wrap-up video for 2024 and celebrating everything that happened, and in 2025, I have a couple of changes for the channel that will roll out over time. First up is upload schedule. For the most part, I will try and upload pretty much every day. Not because I have to or I need to, and not because of some obligation, but because I truly enjoy doing it. Making videos every single day and being able to show you something new, or maybe not even new, but fun and enjoyable, is something that I really enjoy. And for the most part, I'll try and keep that up throughout the coming year. However, there will be some times where I'll be traveling a lot. I'm aiming to travel for quite a while next year in terms of the amount of trips I'll be taking, which means technically more time off. I'll still be filming and recording while I'm away, and even recording some videos for this channel in terms of doing some PSVR2 news while I'm on the go, so you'll see those pop up from time to time, but that may result in some days being missed in terms of the upload schedule. That's just how it's got to be. I've got to take off the headset and go outside sometimes, right? There'll be a couple more vlogs on the channel this year as well as I travel around the world, and I'm really looking forward to that. As for PSVR2, that's going to be the main center of this channel, mostly just because I spend most of my time on this headset and I really enjoy it, but the channel will also branch out to PCVR and flat screen like it always does whenever I feel like it. That being said, thank you for all your support, and I look forward to the new year. Now, let's talk 2025 PSVR2 games. First up, Underdogs is set for a PSVR2 release in 2025. This is a mech battle game which uses some really interesting controls where you properly smash your way through enemies. Rampage through hordes of enemy bots and mechs in unhinged, physics-based metal-on-metal violence. It feels like a really polished version of Gorn in terms of its fighting, and I love me some mechs, and this basically looks like Robot Wars but with humans inside. The game is a roguelike with over 130 weapons, items, and power tools, and you spend your time fighting against 40 plus NPCs, and it's got really good reviews since coming out. Arken Age also hits PSVR2 on the 16th of January, but that'll be covered a little bit more in depth tomorrow in the upcoming January games list, so please be there for that. But this takes place in a terraformed fantasy world created by the Grand Arborist. You spend your time fighting in full physics-based combat and taking on this long 15-hour campaign. I'm really looking forward to this one, and I'll tackle it more in depth when I'm allowed to. Exocars is also coming out on PSVR2 in 2025. This is an off-road racer with multiplayer and single player. There have been some issues from players with its launch on Quest and on Steam, but for the most part, the consensus has been pretty positive, and I'll take any racing games on PSVR2, especially ones like this, with what I believe has wheel support, I want to say. So yeah, excited for that one. Hitman World of Assassination is coming to PSVR2 as well. This is probably the biggest game of the year at the moment, and allows you to take on all the Hitman games in the collection, but in virtual reality. I'm actually just away in Japan a couple days before this thing launches, so hopefully I can get some access to it before it comes out on PSVR2 to get some content and impressions over to you guys, but I'm really excited to get my hands on this. Next up, The Midnight Walk brings us some really scary PSVR2 vibes with its stop motion animated style, really cool character designs, and a game that I really wouldn't expect to be on PSVR2, but I'm happy that it is, and I cannot wait to dive into this. This is probably my kind of dark horse of the year, where maybe I won't expect anything too incredible, but I think it will blow me away once I'm in the headset. It has that potential, but it's not really up there as well known as, say, Hitman. Aces of Thunder comes to PSVR2 with its advanced flight model, dogfighting, single player, and multiplayer. This is by the War Thunder devs. A lot of work has been put into it, and we've been kind of drip-fed news about it over the last year or so, and hopefully it comes out fairly soon, because I cannot wait to get a proper good flight sim on PSVR2. Wanderer the Fragments of Fate also comes to PSVR2 in 2025. This has been hit with a couple of delays, but they promise that the next one is the real release date. Wanderer takes you through a time-hopping journey where you'll become different people in different time periods, solving puzzles between the timelines. This is a remake of the acclaimed PSVR1 game that I actually never played, I have to admit, so I am really excited to take this all on, brand new, in the remake. Pulse VR also comes to PSVR2 in 2025. This is a very creepy liminal space style horror game by I believe a solo dev, if I get that right, that I think is launched on Steam already, and it is fairly simple, but I do love these kind of spooky liminal horror games that just make you feel like something is off. Extraction shooter Ghost of Tabor should see its launch on PSVR2 in 2025. We've speculated every wipe for the past year that perhaps the PSVR2 platform could come to the game, and we've been wrong every time. I'll hold up my hands. The past year, I've been speculating, and I've got every single one wrong, so I will refrain from speculating going forward because I have no idea. But hopefully, in 2025, we'll see it come to the platform. Very soon as well, 90s Extreme Skiing is coming to PSVR2. This is by the makers of Snow Scout, my indie game of the year for 2024 on PSVR2. I love the story there, I did love the skiing mechanics, but I felt like they could have been fleshed out a little bit more, which wasn't to the detriment of Snow Scout because it had a lot around it to kind of beef up the game aside from the skiing, even though it was a main part of traversal. But I think for 90s Extreme Skiing, hopefully they flesh out the mechanics a bit more because the game is just focused on that particularly, but I am really excited to see what comes of this game. Hopefully I'll have hands on fairly soon. With its immersive adventure where you encounter hundreds of undead in breathtaking combat, crammed with numerous foes, Undead Citadel slashes, stabs, and crushes its way onto PSVR2, hopefully in 2025. This has 100% physics-based combat, over 60 weapons, stats to decide on, dozens of different enemies, and both a story and horde mode. Hopefully Undead Citadel lands on PSVR2, makes a big splash because it looks great. Hellsplit Arena is a bit of a similar deal. This horror slasher with physically correct combat systems and dynamic battles across arenas in a dark fantasy world has had rave reviews on Steam. Hopefully on PSVR2 it has the same. You've probably seen this one around on say TikTok or YouTube. It's a fairly popular one for content, and I can't wait for it to come to PSVR2. It's in the same realm of Blade and Sorcery in terms of its combat feeling. Speaking of Blade and Sorcery, that hopefully is coming to PSVR2 in 2025. However, there's no promises on that. The devs have been testing and they've said, we'll find out whether or not it is or isn't sooner rather than later. If it is, it's unclear whether we'll get full mod support, but hopefully we do. Also keep your eye out for Lo-Fi, made by a solo dev. This promises to immerse you in a cyberpunk world, essentially as a detective uncovering mysteries and everything that comes with a grimy, horrendous world like that, but an awesome one to explore. Since Cyberpunk doesn't officially have a VR mode, maybe this will be the closest thing to it. Another game that's kind of gone under the radar a little bit is Five Nights at Freddy's Secret of the Mimic. This was announced on August 6, 2024, and should release in 2025, and focuses on the Mimic, which is a character I think appeared in the books in Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm really not in that series much these days to kind of know about it, but it has been revealed that it will have a flat mode and a VR mode, which is great. A lot like Help Wanted. Unlike Help Wanted, that puts you in a bunch of kind of unlinked scenarios that kind of link together in terms of an entire narrative, but don't link one from the other. Secret of the Mimic seems to be a more traditional narrative and story. So hopefully it provides some great scares. I think some creators in the Five Nights at Freddy's community have been hands-on with it and have said they've enjoyed what they've seen so far, so let's see. Next up, we have two games from the Flatout VR developers. After absolutely smashing it out of the park with Trombone Champ, they're first and foremost doing RoboQuest in 2025, which is an FPS roguelike that has got overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam and people seem to love. If you have a PC, go and try the demo on Steam. It is a flat screen demo of the flat screen game, but it'll give you kind of an idea of what to expect there. And they're also doing Flatout VR. Now, the first two Flatouts were made by Bugbear, and if you recognize them in the racing world, it's probably because you've played Wreckfest, which is a physics-based kind of destructive demolition derby sort of game. I really love Wreckfest, and Flatout seems to be the same vibes. However, I think Flatout VR seems to be from more knowledgeable players than me, based on Flatout 4, which was not made by Bugbear, but still seems pretty cool. This will have full wheel support, and hopefully we'll have a load of VR carnage. Boxing Underdog, previously known as VRSO Bare Knuckle Fighting, is also coming to PSVR2 in 2025. It was pinned for the console in 2024 throughout several months, but got delayed, and now has had a bit of a rework from a UFC-focused game to more of a traditional boxing sort of game. Gotta mention Frenzies as well. This game is out on Quest in early access at the moment, and it's got rave reviews from people who've played it. It's basically End Dreams building upon their previous games like Synapse and taking those kind of cover and shooting mechanics and putting it into a multiplayer environment, just without Synapse's telekinesis and eye tracking. End Dreams always have a certain polish and feel to their games when they bring them over to PSVR2, so hopefully this continues that trend and provides a great PvP shooter experience. Lastly, Firmament should be coming to PSVR2 in 2025. This is a puzzle adventure game that has a flat and VR mode on PC, unsure whether it will on PS5, but it looks lovely, has some deep world building and storytelling, and has mostly positive reviews on Steam, so I'm excited for that. Anyway, that'll be all from me today. Are there any games I missed on this list that you're really excited for? Please do let me know. But I'm ecstatic for all these games on this list that are coming out in 2025. I'm really hoping for maybe an Ace Combat 8 reveal at some point as well. I'm sure that would probably be a PSVR2 game when that gets confirmed. Hopefully Bandai have been working on that behind the scenes. I'm dying for a new Ace Combat game, but I'm also dying for an Ace Combat game in VR. And to take the logical leap from Ace Combat 7 to 8 would be a similar leap from Gran Turismo Sport to 7 for me. So for example, with Gran Turismo Sport, that game had an optional VR mode that was very limited. You can only choose a couple of cars, a couple of racetracks, and only a limited amount of AI. I believe it was only a head-to-head you could do. However, in GT7, you can do the entire game in VR. Now we look at Ace Combat 7 on PSVR 1, similar to GT Sport. You could only do 3 VR combat missions and a couple of free flight zones. The logical step on PSVR 2, if it were to be enabled on the headset, would be the entire Ace Combat campaign and multiplayer in VR, which would be a dream come true for me. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.